Ladies and gents, how are you doing? There are few things in life more pleasurable than watching a porridge-brained lefty get their just desserts, and this story is one of the funniest I've read in months. From thedailymail.com, French leftist theatre faces bankruptcy after opening its doors to 250 African migrants for a free show, but they refused to leave and remain in the building 5 weeks later. Yeah. Never saw that coming, did you? I'll tell you one thing. When I see starving Africans or Boko Haram members or, ill-educated males wandering the streets of third world countries with machetes looking for something to do, I don't take a look at them and think, you know what they need? They need some high culture. Yeah, the blokes packing dinghies. You take one look at them and you think, they really could use a highbrow evening of entertainment. Perhaps they'd like to watch Les Miserables in a language they don't understand. And they're all going to be fine, upstanding gentlemen, so we'll invite them in and have a fantastic night. What could possibly go wrong? I can think of many things that can go wrong, but the first one that springs to mind, speaking as a Brit who comes from a country that didn't have FGM as a matter of course until we imported people from said continent, the first thing I think of is, has the leading lady had to endure several members of the viewing public maybe having a go at the flaps with a broken bottle? Okay, this is a fantastic story. Love that. Love that when I read this type of stuff. Just desserts aplenty. Let's have a good read, see what these delusional, thick as whale spunk lefties have been up to in France, and then have a good chuckle, shall we? Okay, story was only published on January 14th of this year, so it's a new one. I'm sure the comments are going to be hilarious as well. A theatre in Paris, which is known for its radical shows and exhibitions, has been occupied by more than 250 African migrants after they were let in for a free event 5 weeks ago. The Gaîté Lyrique Theatre in Paris staged the conference entitled Reinventing the Welcome for Refugees in France on December 10th. It involved talks hosted by academics from top universities and Red Cross officials, and saw activists welcoming the migrants. But when the conference was finished, the migrants, who mainly come from France's former West African colonies, refused to leave the venue. Still occupied, the leftist theatre now faces going out of business after weeks without revenue from ticket sales, and has had to cancel all performances until at least January 24th. Brilliant. Hey, this is one of those rare instances where I genuinely do think we are being culturally enriched by all of the third world invaders. You know why? Because if it's a woke left-wing theatre and the only thing they produce is woke left-wing drivel, this is going to be one of those rare instances. They are enriching our culture by shutting these arseholes down. Cheers, lads. Its management said in a statement last week that the number of people taking shelter in the theatre is continuing to increase. And has swelled to around 300 people. Yeah, give it a couple of weeks, it's going to be more tightly packed than Diane Abbott's lunchbox. The sanitary conditions are deteriorating day after day, and the teams are facing the situation alone. It said it has called for local authorities to find a housing solution for the occupiers. And although the occupation is forced, it is unthinkable for the Gaîté Lyrique to throw these people out in the middle of winter, the statement added. Brilliant. So on the one hand, they're crying for help, but on the other, they're going, oh yeah, but we can't throw them out. Well, keep them then. Keep them. Get the kettle on, shut up, and make me a cup of tea. I'm staying. Although, no, you put on the kettle, cup of tea, 12 sugars. Daily demonstrations have been held on the steps of the theatre, which is known for hosting radical performances. Conditions have become worse as more people have joined the occupation without support from local authorities, according to a statement by the theatre's management. And there is a big gang of the obvious, thoroughly enriching that table football. And obviously one of them's getting his fat one down on a mattress in the background. Pictures from inside the theatre show people kipping on the tables or under them. And now there's about 300 of them. Look at that. I think I'd even rather go and see Cats at the Royal Albert Hall than nip into that theatre now. An isolated miner sitting on a chair and sleeping with his arms on a table. How do you know he's a miner when you can't see his face? If he's a bog-standard miner from the third world in 2025, he's probably about 30. We'll put him in a maths class full of 14-year-old girls. He'll have a hairy back and male pattern baldness. The 19th century building is owned by the city council and located in Paris's 3rd arrondissement. Paris's socialist-led council, oh well there's your problem there, socialist-led council. It'll be about as good with money as Paul Merson was. They own the building and claim it has looked for accommodation for the migrants, but none was available. Well, of course none's available. None's available in England either, because 20 million of them have moved to Europe in the last 2 decades. It's called for the government to deal with the problem, but Macron's cabinet is said to have ignored the request and is reluctant to get involved in the debacle. Yeah, because Macron doesn't want to get involved, does he? And then 2 days later have one of these blokes push an old lady down the stairs in the subway, or donkey one into a 12-year-old, while horrified cameramen are trying to give you a report about the Louvre or something. And you know what else is funny? Like so many of us have said, and pointed at people like Ben Habib and leadership elements in reform, and right-wingers, the rare right-wingers in the Tory party, people like Suella Braverman. It isn't about race, because loads of the right-wingers who want to enforce the borders are migrants themselves, because when they came, it was logical and we had a process and we had tens of thousands of them moving to Europe every year. So they realise they're getting stitched up. They used to move there in 1985 and have well-educated, well-looked after, well-integrated kids with access to the NHS and with lots of English kids as friends, so they learned English and they fit in. Now they realise that even they're getting stitched up. Migrants who moved to the UK in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, they realised how good they had it, and now they're getting stitched up as well. So it's not only a bunch of pasty white people that are whinging about the border situation in France and the UK and everywhere else. It's everyone who's not a maniac, a limp-wristed, sparrow-boned, soy milk drinking socialist shit for brains. As we see here, they are ruining my business, the manager, Elia, herself the daughter of Algerian migrants, told The Times. They hang around outside my terrace, smoking joints and fighting. Not only do we no longer get theatre goers because the theatre's shut, but we don't get passers-by either. They're being frightened away by all the men. Look at the clip of that picture. Who in the right mind would walk in there? Big gangs of shifty blokes looking at you with hostility in their gaze. Videos show huge crowds gathering at the General Assemblies, which begin with drums being banged and slogans being blared through megaphones. The French people want more order in the streets, order at the borders. France's Interior Minister Bruno Retailleer said, denouncing what he called mass migration to the country. A French government official has finally got round to saying, oh yeah, the people want less immigration. Oh yeah, well done mate, you're only, 25 years too late? You got there in the end, didn't you? You got there in the end. As I said yesterday, they do get there in the end. They just cause catastrophic damage in the 23 years it takes them to get there, to come to the inescapable conclusion that your average pipe fitter or bus driver arrived at in about 2003. So, that's where we're at. They are getting their comeuppance all across the world. Starbucks has seen the light. The Algerians are getting pissed off in Paris. And anybody with an IQ above room temperature all across Western Europe is sick to the back teeth of getting the piss took out of them by swarthy, unvetted third world gentlemen. All right? Easy. Wasn't particularly complicated, that one, was it? That's me for the day. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you have got space for 327 unvetted, unwashed, hairy-ass blokes, please let me know in the comments. I'll pass your details on to Elia, the daughter of an Algerian migrant, and hopefully, she'll ship 327 blokes to you, and you can put them up in your house instead, all right? If anyone's got Gary Lineker's number, send him my details. Okay, thanks for watching. See you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.